All right. Hi, how are you? I hope wherever you are, you've had an awesome day. In fact, in the comments, why don't you tell me where you're tuning in from? My name is Mel Robbins, and oh my gosh, I just got a low battery mode on my phone. So hold on a second. I uh, need a charger for my phone. I have literally been in my hotel room for approximately 6 minutes. And in that time, I've set up this live stream. I'm in Vegas and here to give a speech. And so, thank you for your patience while I deal with the battery issues. Okay, good. I'm Mel Robbins. This is Mindset Reset. It is a free month-long training program that I am conducting to teach you how to change the way that you think so you can change your life. And we are in the middle of Anxiety Week. You're watching video number 16 in our month-long series. If you are part of the program, welcome. I'm so thrilled that you are here. I'm honored that you trust me and my amazing team in the process of learning how to reset your mind. One thing, notice I said the word process. A mindset reset is a process. It's a skill that you develop, and it's something that you will do your entire life. It is not a one and done event. And that's an important thing because when you complete this program with me and you watch all of the videos that we're doing for free all month long, um, you will leave with tools that are yours forever. And whenever you have a bad day, whenever you have a stressful day, whenever you get triggered, whenever you make a major mistake or you do something that you regret and you notice that your mindset is taking you down a very negative path, you will have the ability to catch those negative default thoughts or to catch those negative thoughts that are triggered by something that's going on, yank them, pull your focus back to the executive center of your brain, which is your prefrontal cortex, and choose to think about something different. And look, if you've made a mistake, if you've had a bad day, if you screwed something up, maybe thinking not about what you screwed up, but about what you learned and what you're not going to ever repeat in terms of the mistake that you made, that's an amazing thing that you can learn to do too, because none of us are ever going to be perfect. There are going to be things that we all do in our lives that we regret. There are going to be decisions that we make that we think in hindsight, oh boy, I could have done that a little bit better and I wish I had. Well, now that you can do better. If you had known before, you would have done better then. So these are the kinds of tricks that aren't just little sleight of hand uh, woo-woo things. These are actually ways to change the way that you think. And today, we were going to be talking about time of day triggers. But before we get into specific training about specific kinds of anxiety, I want to switch up the program, Mindset Reset, and the curriculum that we were planning for day 16 to respond to you. You see, you have flooded our inbox with questions about anxiety in particular. And if you're brand new to the Mindset Reset video, if this is the first video that you've ever watched with me, Mel Robbins, no worries. If you want to get on the email list, if you'd like to be sent the complete playlist for all of this and all of the free PDFs, I'm not selling you anything. I'm not going to bombard you with anything. This is we are providing this as a service. Just go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. I understand that our site has been having some difficulty. It's been going down because the number of you that have been hitting it. So if you hit our website and it's down, no worries. Just check back another time, melrobbins.com/mindset reset. So let's jump into the question and answers because we have already covered so much in days 1 through 15. And you can go to YouTube or Facebook anytime and go to our page, Mel Robbins, and you will find the playlists. You will find all the videos. You haven't missed out on anything. It's all there for you to use however it serves you. Today is day 16, and we're turning this into an FAQ. So one other important note. I am talking about tools that work with generalized anxiety, with the kind of body agitation and overwhelming stress that so many of you are feeling right now in your day-to-day life. I am not talking about anxiety disorders and clinical conditions. I suffered from an anxiety disorder for 2 decades. I took Zoloft for 2 decades. It was a miracle drug for me. I highly recommend that if you have anxiety that is so debilitating, like I did, that you can't get out of bed, you can't do normal functions every day, go see a licensed therapist. If a licensed therapist is telling you that you might want to consider some of the amazing medicines that are out there to help you dig out of the mental hole, they work for me. There is no shame in it. So I want to be very clear. What we're talking about here is not a substitute for therapy, okay? You should go see a therapist. You should work one-on-one with somebody if your life is being severely or in a meaningful way impacted by anxiety. And in fact, it's a wonderful thing to do for yourself. So I need to say that from the get-go. And if you are in therapy, this content that we're talking about in Mindset Reset is a beautiful companion to what you're doing. And you should talk to your therapist about what you're learning and what insights that you're gaining from this. They will work hand in hand. Now, that said, I want to go to some of the questions that we've gotten. And if you have questions about triggers, about anchor thoughts, about the connection between worrying, which is a habit of thinking about things going wrong in the future, or thinking negative thoughts about things that are out of your control, and anxiety, which is physical agitation that you feel in your body. If you have questions about that, ask away. You can also go back and review videos 12, videos 13, videos 14, and videos 15. Okay, here we go. Nova says, hi Mel, thank you for introducing the anchor thought. Is it correct that anchor thoughts are in some way altering anxiety and perceiving it as excitement? Bingo. So anchor thoughts are a really, really cool tool because an anchor thought is a thought that you use that is related to something that you're doing that makes you nervous, stressed out, or feel anxious and agitated in your body. And the anchor thought is something about what you're doing or about what will happen in the future because of what you're doing that makes you nervous, that makes you excited. You see, one of the big mistakes that people make around anxiety is when you are feeling anxious, people tell you to calm down. You got nothing to worry about. Calm down, calm down. That advice always backfires. It's the worst thing that you could say to somebody with anxiety because, number one, if you're anxious, you're already in an agitated state. Your body feels like it's going 100 miles an hour. You can't calm down. You can't slow down. And when somebody tells you to calm down when you're feeling anxious, you basically want to punch them in the face because they clearly don't get how agitated and revved up you are. So all of the research suggests that instead of trying to calm down and stop agitation, what we're going to do is hijack it. Your body's already revved up at 100 miles an hour. Your stomach is churning, your armpits are sweating, your heart is racing, your mind is spinning. You're in an agitated state going 100 miles an hour. So let's hijack it. You know how, let's hijack it and let's make your body think that you're excited. Now, why on earth would you want to hijack it and stay in an agitated state? Well, the reason why is if you stay in an agitated state and your thoughts are negative, you're going to get even worse. You're going to really start panicking. You're going to think you're going to die. You're going to think you need to get out of the room that you're in. You're going to think that you got to bolt right now. That's what's going to happen. If we train you to have an anchor thought that you go to that says, I'm so excited to get this speech over with. I'm so excited for my spouse to actually walk in the door and say to them, let's try to have a really calm evening tonight and not fight. I'm so excited to talk to my boss about this because regardless of how tense the conversation is, at the end of it, we will be the better for it. I'm so excited to ask for this raise because regardless of whether or not I get it, I have put out there that I want more. I am so excited. I actually used this an hour ago. We took off from San Francisco and it was so cloudy and windy. The plane was doing one of these things on takeoff. It was bouncing, like I actually got a little air under my rear end on the airplane. And I grabbed my armrest and I thought to myself, I might actually grab the hand of the gentleman sitting next to me. I'm a little anxious right now. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute, close your eyes. My stomach's churning, my heart is racing. Hold on, you're not anxious, Mel. You're excited. You're excited to get to Vegas. And what are you going to do when you get to Vegas? Oh, I'm going to see my friends Mo, and Jonathan, who are in town. And I started visualizing, even though my heart's racing and the plane is going like this, in my mind, I'm anchoring down on an exciting thought, and I am hijacking the agitation that was from the turbulence, and I'm channeling it toward this vision of seeing my friends. And then I start reminding myself that, look, if I'm having a drink with Jonathan and Mo tonight, the plane makes it. My body settles, boom. Another analogy that you can use is, have you ever been driving in a really mountainous area and you see those truck runoff ramps? You see, you don't want to, if a truck is running away, you don't want to put a blockade up. It'll kill the people in the truck. What you want to do is you want to use the momentum and go in a different direction. And so those runoff ramps are always uphill and into like a big pile of sand, so that the truck goes from speeding 1,000,000 miles an hour to using that momentum and slowing itself down. An anchor thought does the exact same thing. All right, Norm says, I realize that I have this anxiety when my wife comes home from work. I get so anxious when I hear her keys come in the door because it's nonstop conflict until we go to bed. What can I do? There's a couple things you can do. Number one, you should sit down with your wife and talk about the fact that this bothers you. And the two of you should come up with a plan for a new ritual around how you're going to start that first hour so that you're not in conflict. The other thing is that sometimes that agitation in your body, Norm, it's a signal. Remember when we talked, I believe it was like video 13 or 14 about worries and how there are productive worries. So if you're worried about your kids drinking and driving, that's a productive worry if you use that worry as a signal that there is something to find a solution around. There are systems to put in place. There are conversations to have so that you can feel safe and assured, knowing that if those systems are followed, that you don't have to worry about this. There's destructive worry, which is the kind of worry where you sit in your head and you overthink and you overthink and you overthink and you obsess about things going wrong, but you don't do anything to change it. So this, in my mind, Norm, could also be in the category of a productive worry if you use it to have a conversation with your wife and address the issues that you have and tell her from a place of love that you're concerned about this, that you want to know from her, what do you need to change to help fix this? If there's a counselor or a therapist or a rabbi or a minister or a friend that you trust or a family member that you look up to, maybe you two should go talk to somebody and try to sort out the things that are causing you tension. But just worrying about it, it's going to keep the anxiety around. Nina says, my trigger is homework. My trigger homework revealed that my biggest worry is that when my kids come home from school, 2 out of the 3 seem to always need money. And then I'm all mush and I feel like I fail at providing because I'm a single mom. What do I do? This is a very real concern. And in fact, here in the United States, where the government is shut down and working families and government employees and even our own military went without their first paycheck this week, it is becoming a real concern and strain. And so here's the thing. Financial difficulty is a reality and it's scary. And I have lived that scariness when Chris and I were facing bankruptcy. And what I want you to understand is that you've got to get this into the category of productive worrying. There are a lot of things that are out of your control. If you've been furloughed for pay, when the shutdown's going to happen, you can certainly start to take action to call your congressman. If you're a single mom and you're only making so much money, if you got teenagers, there's nothing wrong with getting a job at the local grocery store, bagging groceries in the state of Massachusetts. You can do it at the age of 13 or 14. There's nothing wrong with babysitting on the weekends in order to make a little money. There's nothing wrong with raking leaves. There's nothing wrong with encouraging and supporting your kids to find ways to work. Okay, now, if you got 8, 9, 10-year-olds, then, and it's a reality, use it as a productive worry. Don't beat yourself up because that's not going to help you make more money. Ask yourself, what more could I do? What reality check could I give my kids? Where could I ask for help that I don't have help? Where are there services or support that I'm not asking for that are out there to help me pay for some of this stuff? There's more support out there than you need, and oftentimes we spend too much time worrying and making ourselves wrong. So we miss out on seeing and even asking for the help that we need. And maybe right now you need some help. And there's no shame in that either. Patricia Coe, does the trigger need to originate in childhood or could it be linked to adulthood experiences? Absolutely. Absolutely, it could be linked to adulthood experiences. I had a very abusive is the wrong word, but I had a very volatile boss in my 30s. He was a yeller, micromanager, swooping in, just set everybody on edge. And that's an experience that when I'm around people like that, I still get triggered by behavior like that. Here's another question that we have from Instagram. Is the anchor thought the same when dealing with addiction? I have really bad anxiety when I want a cigarette. It's very hard to refocus. When you're talking about addiction and you want a cigarette, here's what I want you to understand. I might say the science wrong, but it is something profound, like within 3 days, the chemicals from the cigarette addiction leave your body. Not the damage you've done, but the chemicals themselves. And what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a addictive behavior like smoking cigarettes is you're dealing with the fact that all day long your whole life was organized in moments when you had a cigarette. There's a cigarette you have when you wake up. There's a cigarette you have with your cup of coffee. There's a cigarette you have after breakfast. There's a cigarette you have when you're driving to work. There's a cigarette that you have on your lunch break. There's a cigarette you have at 5 o'clock. Can you tell I used to be a smoker in college? There's a cigarette that you have when you have a drink at night. There's a cigarette that you have when you're having a long phone conversation. And all of those moments are triggers. Triggers that are saying, it's time to have a smoke. It's time to have a smoke. And so what you must do is recognize that you're not addicted to cigarettes, even though they've proven that it is an addiction. But what you're really dealing with is a habit dysfunction. You see, you have a habit of having a smoke at certain times. And so what I can tell, because you're having anxiety when you don't have a cigarette, is that you don't have a plan B for what you're going to do for every moment that you have a cigarette. So here's the coaching. Go through your day and write down all the times, places, people, sounds, situations that trigger you to want to have a cigarette. Then go back to all those moments and come up with a plan B. What are you going to do instead? Seriously, what are you going to do instead? Are you going to get up and leave the room? Are you going to put on some music or listen to a podcast to distract yourself? Are you going to put a piece of gum in your mouth? Are you going to drink a cup of water? What are you going to get up and walk around the office for a minute? What are you going to do instead of reaching for that smoke? Then you're going to drop in an anchor thought, which is, how are you going to feel a year from now when you've been smoke-free and you feel healthy and you feel like you're in control of your life? And that's the formula. You're going to have to train yourself every single time that you're normally triggered to have a smoke to insert an alternate behavior. That is the work. It's simple, it's not easy, but I know you can do it. Same thing is true with you, Kim. If you're a binge eater, same thing is true. Write down all the things that trigger you to eat and then come up with a plan B for what you're going to do the next time you feel triggered and come up with a visualization to get you through those 5 minutes when normally you would reach for the food because you've been triggered emotionally or because you've had a hard day. Your questions are amazing. I want you to keep asking them because we're going to insert more question and answers into the live trainings. And I also have another announcement. Oftentimes when you do a mindset reset, you see that there are changes that you need to make. That's the whole point of it. Life is always changing. And a lot of times you'll make decisions, you'll set forth on a plan, you'll try things out, and you'll realize, oops, we probably should change that a little bit. Instead of making yourself wrong, try just pivoting. And so we're going to do a pivot in Mindset Reset. This is going to be a 35-day program, but we are no longer going to do live trainings on the weekends. And here's why. I need a mindset reset, and so does my team. And we were so overwhelmed, we didn't anticipate that more than 200,000 of you were going to sign up, and we have a commitment to take care of you. And so the amount of attention that this program is requiring for us to be able to answer your comments and to be responsive and to sift through the enormous amount of inbound information, which is so inspiring, we need a break, and so do you. So starting this weekend, we are not going to do live trainings on Saturday and Sundays. Don't worry. You're going to get a comprehensive email on Friday after the training that gives you some stuff to do. And weekends should be a moment of time when you reset anyway. Many of you have asked questions about whether or not you should be getting up when the alarm rings on the weekends. If you don't have to get up for something, this is time that you can sleep in. This is time that you can do your morning routine. As for today, I want you to continue practicing what we're talking about. If you haven't caught up on all the videos, just go back and start watching them at your leisure. We're on video 16 today. Make sure if you're not on the email list, go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. If our site is down, we've been pummeled with traffic, so be it. Just visit on another day. It's no big deal. We'll be back up and running soon. And the final thing is practice your morning routine and practice constantly redirecting your thoughts when they go negative, when you get triggered, when you start to notice that you're sabotaging yourself, and redirect yourself to something positive. It is a process, not an event. All right, that's it for today's training. In case nobody else tells you today, I want to tell you that I love you and I believe in your ability to change your life doing the little things. And when you change the little things about how you think, you will change your life. Have an amazing day, and thank you for being here. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow at some point. Okay, and